We didn't come here just to get one win on the comeback, you know. It's to get the Phoenix back to where he belongs. So I feel relieved tonight because this is the first box ticked, you know. And when a fighter, you know, has gone through the adversity Tim has and made the courageous adjustments that they make to their career at this, you know, to their team at this part of their career, it's a lot of pressure on their shoulders. So, you know, more for Tim's sake, I'm just really proud of how he's handled all the adjustments. A lot of people were a little critical of us fighting before year end, but that was 10 really valuable rounds with Velazquez. The one thing I was comfortable with, obviously, matching the fight. I wouldn't have picked Velazquez if I thought that he was going to tear up our script guaranteed, but I knew we had to be on our toes. I knew he had a dangerous hook. He had an outstanding trainer who I worked with for 9 years with TJ Doheny and Hector Bermudez, so I know they'd be ready to cause the upset. But Tim boxed really well, really smart, found his range early on the jab, kept stabbing the body, kept feigning, giving him different looks, and yeah, them 10 rounds were really valuable.
Realistically, given what he's been through and the losses,
yeah,
how fast is the progression up? Like, is it straight to the?
That's a loaded question. So I'll give you a context on this, right? Like, and it's also a reason why I chose to do this fight at a catch weight of 157 pounds. Tim only needed a hit out to get back, and then all this is going to be a flood of calls. So we've already heard whispers within the industry that, you know, both winners of, you know, whoever wins between Abbas Barrel and Xander Zayas January 31, that's something that potentially is going to be there in the mix, you know. So again, it's tempting to want to fight a unified world champion, right? So we know the calls are going to come. I feel that, like, if I could look at anything in Tim's career the past 18 months, I think that one of the ingredients that was lacking was probably a little bit of calmness. So that's what I try to pride that myself and Darcy are going to be bringing to the table, because one thing I know is when you adjust the fighter's trainer, the more time they have working with the new camp, the more they gel, the more they adjust, the more they adapt. So I look at that, I love like 1 or 2 more hit-outs, and you know, we figure out our time frame, and then if we see the right signs, the right indications from Tim, then we make our step. The calls are going to be there, the opportunities are going to be there. You know, he's a son of a legend, he's the biggest draw card in Australian boxing. He's a former world champion, so the calls are going to be there. The opportunity is going to be there. So it's up to us to be patient and ensure that, you know, when we leave the house the next time, we're secure, we're ready. You know, we're not looking to step up just to make the numbers. We want him to get back to a position where, you know, he can grab it with both hands and ensure he excels. We'll give him every opportunity to excel.
Did you see the first signs of that calmness, like you mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that, you know, again, like this fight, the prep of this fight was a bit truncated. He only really had 8 weeks to prepare with Pedro Diaz, and really, if you take out the last week tapering off, and that's really 7 weeks. So it was a slight concern in the back of my mind, but I knew that Tim wanted to end the year as a winner. He had that imprinted in his brain, and I'm not sure how he would have handled, you know, any kind of suggestion to wait to, say, February or March of next year. So then it was like, okay, let's make sure we've got the mechanics in order. Let's make the adjustments to give you the best opportunity to perform. So that's why even the catch weight was in play. But I thought those rounds were great. I think Tim, a little stronger, a little sharper. You know, say one fight down the line, he gets Velazquez out of there. But the one intangible, I knew Velazquez could crack with the hook. The one intangible I didn't know, because I hadn't seen him hurt or tested in any fights, was what's his toughness and what's his resistance like. And he's one tough hombre. You know, I knew with Hector Bermudez in his corner, he'll be exceptionally well prepared and he'll have the heart of a warrior. But yeah, he proved it tonight. Yeah, did he fight a little to survive? Of course he did. But it's because every time he tried to press hard, he got punished. So yeah, like, I thought they were great rounds. It's the first step, first box ticked. So we just keep going along on that pathway.
I was going to say, why do you think that those two blokes in that impending world title fight are sort of saying, yes, we'd like to go Tszyu next?
Because it's still Tim Tszyu and they think they're catching him at the right time. So that's why this step in Tim's career has to be predicated on our timing, not theirs. You have a company like Top Rank, they're smart. They know Xander Zayas is struggling with the weight. They know he might only, if he wins the unification, he may only have one more fight remaining at 154. So they're thinking, why not fight a son of a legend, a guy with one of the biggest profiles in world boxing, you know, once Tim gets his resurgence behind him. So they know 1 or 2 wins, Tim's brand is as strong as anyone's, you know. It brings cachet, it brings value. But like I said, we're working on our timing, not theirs. And the tricky part is keeping Tim calm to not look at the bright lights and say, yeah, I want all of that. I want all of that opportunity. And just, you know what, it has to work on our timing. You know, you're 31 years of age. All the steps from this part in his career need to actually be intelligent and significant.